Hello everyone, and welcome to part 5 of the Ward series. I want to thank you so much if you've been listening up to this point and you've been following along with the series. It's the very first series that I've ever done on my channel, so I really appreciate those of you who have been following along since the beginning. If this is your first time listening or the first time discovering my channel, hello and welcome. You have stumbled upon a part 5 of a series. So I will put links in the description box as well as across your screen so that you can begin if you would like to. And if you're new, please take a minute to listen and subscribe if you enjoy. I also just wanted to say that as of this moment when I'm recording this, part 5 is the last installment that is currently up. The series I don't think is over. The author said that it was going to be a pretty long ongoing series, so if you're enjoying it, don't worry, it's not the end. It's just the last installment that is currently available for me to narrate. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't know when the next part will be coming out because it's just not available yet. So you might have to wait a little longer than usual for part 6, but I honestly don't think it's over. So don't worry about that. Just you might have a little bit of a longer wait. Anyway, I really appreciate the author for letting me narrate their story. They are Ghettoceratops on Reddit, so if you would like, please check out their other work. They have been so kind to me and really awesome. Thank you so much. Anyway, now, on with the story. Let's get creepy. Mother Mary of Endless Patients, our sister ward, closed down 2 months ago, and most of the patients there have been relocated to where I work. Needless to say, things are packed, tightly, like maximum capacity tight, like check the fire code regulation tight, like the city of Louisville will require a safety audit on the entire facility and staff body tight. We are still in the process of locating some patients to the right rooms, as many of them are required to have a roommate now. We are also having to staff up our cafeteria with some of the better patients after what we have been calling the meatball fiasco. All that being said, I have some new stories. I want to advise a bit of caution on this particular set, though. This first story is actually one I heard from my coworker Dana. She had come in on a Saturday shift to help the first batch of new patients from Endless Patients. Yeah, there's a joke in there somewhere. And it's important to mention here what Dana is like. First thing, most people notice how short she is. She's 4'10", maybe smaller by an inch or so. The second thing is how drop-dead, slap-your-mother, gorgeous she is. Long red hair, buxom, graceful as a damn Olympic figure skater, skin like buttermilk. She's hot, okay? It's disgusting how beautiful she is. And just to nail this down, once we had a man admitted on cases of self-harm just so he would get to be at the same hospital with her. Turns out he was really a nut, so the hospital was a great fit for him, but we made sure to put him in the farthest wing from Dana as we could. The last thing about Dana is that she is sweeter than antifreeze, and just as dangerous too. Dana loves every living thing she has ever seen, but her margin for dealing with fuckery or threats is essentially non-existent. Okay, so Dana is shepherding in all of the new patients, making small talk and other niceties, when she starts to notice none of the patients were wearing shoes. Well, they had shoes, but they were all piled up in the van without their laces. Then he comes out, a man we would soon be calling Sneakers, and, as Dana would put it, he looked nuttier than a cashew. He had these thick, bug-eye glasses with tortoiseshell frames. In his hands he had nearly 20 pairs of clinical white shoelaces. Dana laughs it off and asks for the laces, which he happily gives back, only to produce another handful from his bulging pockets. He runs the strings through his fingers in this really thoughtful way, like he is concentrating on some feat of mental dexterity. Every once in a while he smiles and nods at his work, only to continue arranging the intricate web of laces into a form more suitable to his taste. Sneakers spent a lot of time on a sailboat after he got out of the Navy. According to his family, he sailed all the way across the Pacific by himself, though after that trip, he was never really the same. His brother said that maybe the sun fried his brain or something. No one is really quite sure, but we all think he developed this fixation from having to deal with rigging all day. People do that kind of thing. When they start to slip, they turn to something they know they can control. This coping mechanism is fine, and in fact, studies have found that these obsessions can be some of the strongest bonds to recovery of a patient. So, Sneakers got his laces, and Dana made sure he didn't hurt himself with them. Come to find out, it wasn't just laces, but anything with that sort of stringy property. Spaghetti, yarn, rope, cables, you name it, he had it. Dana isn't one to question the motivations of the mentally unstable, but she was fascinated by Sneakers. It was all she ever wanted to talk about. So one day, she cracks and asks him why he's lacing together all of that string. According to Dana, he put his hand on her hand and stares at her with the clearest, most conscious eyes she has ever seen. All he says is,
"To protect you, Dana."
Now, this would freak me out, but not Dana. She still acts like it was the sweetest thing anyone has ever told her. With some further questions, she figures out rather simply that Sneakers is constructing a net. Must be a big net, Dana states.
"Gotta have a big net for big fish."
Sneakers replies. Ah, so you're fishing.
Something like that.
After their conversation, Sneakers continues to weave his net for the next couple of days. Nothing out of the ordinary. But one day, he just stops. He tells Dana that he is finished and that the net is ready. Dana jokingly acts relieved and says that she feels much more protected now that the net is complete. Sneakers was beaming that day. He acted like a hero, and Dana loved it. She loves seeing her patients do well. Sneakers' light mood didn't last for long, though. Progressively, he gets more and more somber. He stops talking to anyone except Dana, and when he is talking to her, the only thing he does is ask if she's okay. Of course she was. She made sure Sneakers knew she was just fine, but he didn't seem convinced. Then, he's gone. Just gone. His bed was made, his net was gone. All of his clothes were folded up and neatly stacked. He also left a note for Dana, but she still hasn't let me read it or know its contents. Dana lets our boss know that something must have happened to Sneakers, and we start a search of the entire grounds. Of course, I'm volunteered to check the dungeon, but Sneakers wasn't down there. Thank God. We did find him, though, and by we, I mean Dana. Would you like to guess where he was found? Seriously, I will give you a second to think about it. Guessed it yet? Room 230. When Dana found him, he had several puncture wounds in his chest, and he was lying on top of a mass all tangled up in his net. Thankfully, Sneakers was alive. His prey, however, was not. In his trap lay a massive dead deer. Its antlers were bloody and sharp. At a glance, it looked like a regular old white-tailed deer, except for the gray dust that powdered its coat. Oh yeah, and the third eye. Somehow, either Sneakers captured that deer and dragged it all the way up to 230 without anyone noticing, or I don't even know what an alternative would be to that. I mean, damn. The three eyes isn't even all of it either. Dana said that it had teeth like a shark, pointed and jagged. I never saw it, but the image alone terrifies me. Sneakers had to be taken to medical, and Dana got some time off work after an extensive meeting with our boss. In fact, she is still on vacation, but she should be back within the week. I'll pry for details then. Lastly, after the deer incident, I decided to go talk to Sneakers in medical. For 2 days, the doctors wouldn't let anyone into the room due to his erratic moods and violent outbursts. That didn't sound like Sneakers, though. He might have been a little cracked, so to speak, but he wasn't broken. On the third day, I was allowed in, when no one was around and the nurses weren't watching his door. I fucked up, okay? I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have seen what I did. Tubes. Everywhere. Tubes connected Sneakers to a room full of machines and monitors. One of his arms clearly had the skin removed and replaced with skin grafts from his leg, which was wrapped in a leaking, bloody bandage. His other arm looked like it was being prepped for operation, an operation to remove the skin. Constellations, beautiful, intricate, familiar constellations were burnt into his arms, and the doctors, for one reason or another, wanted them off. Sneakers was under heavy sedation then, but even if he had been awake, I still don't know what I would have said. Where do you begin with something like that? This nervous itch was starting to set in the back of my skull, and I decided it was time to go. But before I leave, something catches my eye. It is a hazardous waste can in the corner of the room. I don't know how to say this. I don't even know why I did what I did. I threw on some gloves and started digging around until I found what I was looking for. I have it now. It's in a jar of salt water in my fridge. Sneakers, beautiful, starry, skin. Sometimes before I go to bed, I set the jar on my nightstand and stare at the markings, like they are some kind of code. They are a message. I just want to know what is being said.